don't care. I was going to see how much time left, but if I start fucking around trying to get to my data plan, this rocket will take off. It'll be in space before I figure it out. Or what can happen is that they can abort, at the last minute. There's some problem. I can't get my connection, but I don't want to go back over to the house to get closer to Wi-Fi and again miss it. When we came out, it was like 7 minutes, so it's got to be very soon. Yeah, hi, this is Mark from An American in Russia. Well, my trip to the States, I just got back, to visit family started in Florida, Titusville, Florida to be exact, which is home of the Kennedy Space Center, and it's also home of my youngest son and his family. During my 6 days there visiting with my youngest son and his family, there were actually 2 different rocket launches. Well, 2 different rocket launches scheduled. Now, I've never seen a rocket launch, but always wanted to. It was on my bucket list. The non-launch that you just saw, or expected to see, was the cooler of the 2. It was to be 4 astronauts in a Musk Dragon capsule going to the ISS, or International Space Station. There were 2 Americans, 1 Russian, and 1 astronaut from the United Arab Emirates. I'm actually wearing the mission hat for this space mission. Well, I am now. Get a close-up view of the mission patch. Unfortunately for me, this flight was rescheduled for the 2nd of March, on which date it did launch, but I was then about 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometers to the north. However, I did see 1 launch while I was there, and you'll see this a little bit later in the video today. While in Florida, I went cruising with my son to see some of the area and also to see one of the beaches nearby. The weather was warm and sunny. The skies were blue, the grass was green. Everything I typically don't see in Tambov in February. Well, here, come along with me for a moment and see it through my eyes.
Blue dew, blue moon, kinda mysterious, shaded with someone I'm not really into. Do you need to fix it? Talking bullshit. It's hard to see you when your eyes look dull. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna make you not blue? Not blue. Blue too. Bad mood. Sorta whippy and jaded, but let's not talk about you. Your coyote song on a rerun.
Now, I spent a day at the Kennedy Space Center, at their visitor center. You could easily spend 2 days there. It's that large and interesting. I really wanted to spend time at the very large building that houses the Saturn V rocket and the Apollo capsules, landers, etc. Basically, what was used to send men to the moon. That was my, let's say, in my youth, that was the big program, the Apollo program. So I was very interested to see these things. And actually, the Saturn V rocket was, until this year, the most powerful rocket ever built and launched by man. They actually have an unused rocket lying on its side in this building. I would say for about 3/4 of the visitors that I saw there that day, this rocket and display were merely interesting pieces of hardware and history. But for me, it was so much more. I grew up with this rocket being the things dreams were made of. Most people today have never lived during a time in which men were blasting off away from our Earth and landing on another heavenly body. And I'm proud of the fact that I was a witness to these events, that I saw them. The following film clips will show what I saw in the actual building, but superimposed with that is what I saw in the recesses of my memory. The real launch videos were, of course, not taken by me, but you can enjoy what I was seeing and how I felt. I was getting chills.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
The new most powerful rocket in the world is Artemis. Artemis in Greek mythology was the twin sister of Apollo. NASA has always enjoyed naming their rockets after Greek gods and goddesses. So while the Apollo program launched many people to the moon starting in the late 1960s, the Artemis program will now again launch them to the moon and beyond. I think it's a great time if you're interested in the space program. It's a great time to be young. Well, I mentioned that I did have the opportunity to see one launch. This launch took place late in the day and was one of Elon Musk's SpaceX Falcon 9 rockets going to deposit another 60 or so low Earth communication satellites. The rocket went up and then went away from us to the south, so there isn't a lot to see. And this was all taken from just outside my son's house, just in the road. But I did see a rocket launch, and to me, this was pretty cool. This year, the Kennedy Space Center will see more than 100 rockets launched. That's, in my opinion, it's incredible. There was never such activity when I was young. Next year, the number could go as high as 200 launches. I grew up during the days of the great space race between the Soviet Union and the US. It was a much better idea to launch rockets rather than nuclear missiles at each other. I'm sure that young people in the Soviet Union were as proud of their program as I was of ours in the US. And today, the mission cap I'm wearing has the name of American astronauts and Russians traveling together to the space station. Young people today see space exploits that I never even thought about when I was young, such as the cool way that they land the used parts of the rocket back on Earth, gentle as a lamb, to be reused to save money. However, when I was 12 years old, we put men on the moon, and we didn't even have the internet or YouTube. I want to see the young do even greater things. Well, I know that this first video of my US trip was really just a space odyssey, but I'm a nut for space. Something I wanted to mention too, I trying a few new things here today. We'll see how they look. I have a new computer. It won't make any difference in what you see, but it'll make a lot of a difference in how quickly my computer renders the video. I'm trying a new wireless microphone now. It just makes things a little bit easier. I love my old microphone, and well, not old, but my former microphone, but it required a lot more setup. This is a wireless one. We'll see how the sound is. Well, thank you all very much for watching today, and Paka.